Yes, you're in the right place. Yes, this is the right show. Yes, I'm your host as always, Mark Torres. And welcome to the Fitness Hippie Podcast. Things might sound a little bit different. Not like audio quality wise, but the words that I'm saying might sound foreign to some of you guys, especially if you've listened to the show prior to this very moment. But if you're new here, welcome to the Fitness Hippie Podcast, formerly known as the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast. And I think that a rebrand has been a long time coming. It's something that I've thought about for a long time. But ultimately, the thing that really hammered it home for me was I was talking to one of the regulars at the gym. And if this person ever listens to the show, they'll know exactly who they are. But this person found out that I had a podcast, and they said, "Oh, that's sick, dude. What's the name of your podcast?" And I said, "It's the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast." And they said, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And I said, "It's the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast." And they said, "What?" And I said it one more time, and the person said, "Dude, you said it 3 times, and I still don't know what you're saying." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of a wordy title. It's very mouthy. It's kind of forgettable, honestly." So at that moment, I was like, "Yeah, it's probably time to change the name of the podcast." The Made to Excel name is never going to go away. That's the name of my brand. It's going to be the name of different things going forward, but not the name of the show. So I decided to call the show the Fitness Hippie Podcast. So, of course, I'm changing the name for the marketability, for the memorability factor. It's a lot easier to remember the Fitness Hippie versus Made to Excel Fitness. That's kind of the main genesis as to this whole name change. But, of course, finding a name that still runs the line of the main goal of this show. And ultimately, I came up with the Fitness Hippie Podcast. And the reason for that name, and this is my 60-second elevator pitch as to why it's called the Fitness Hippie Podcast, is the fact that for 99.99% of people that ever walk into a gym or do a workout, they're probably not going to be somebody who is a high-level bodybuilder or a powerlifter or an elite-level athlete. Most people, including you, are probably going to be people that have goals that are more akin to losing a little bit of weight and building a little bit of muscle, and maybe putting your life on a better health trajectory than the one that it's on right now. If any of those things sound familiar to you, congratulations, you're part of the majority. If you're part of that 0.001% of elite level athlete or competitor, you live by a different set of rules and circumstances, and that's great. But if you're part of the majority, then fitness can and should be what you make of it. So being a fitness hippie is not about the way you look or your personality. It's not about wearing tie-dye all the time and having long hair and getting blazed in the back of a VW bus listening to nothing but the Grateful Dead and Fish. All those things are great if you're into that. But being a fitness hippie is somebody who's not preoccupied with finding what's the best diet or the best exercise, because those things don't exist. There's no such thing as a universal best anything in fitness. But being a fitness hippie is about using the frameworks of fitness, and within that framework, with an open mind, finding what's going to be best for them or for you, and doing so in a way that prioritizes not only fitness and health, but also your happiness. And I think the balance between those two things is extremely, extremely important, and something that I want to push forward in the show. So hopefully over the course of this podcast, of course, we're going to have some fun, but of course, hopefully you can take away some philosophies that you can implement in your life and your fitness journey in order to live the fitness hippie way. And the new tagline of the show is going to be fit, be happy. Once again, the balance between those two things is super important. It's something that I cherish very much, and hopefully I can pass on to you guys. So that was really the quick hits version of that. If you have to go, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. If you were just morbidly curious as to why the name change, that's pretty much it. But I get it, right? You're a busy person. You don't want to listen to little old me all the time. But if you want to take a little bit of a deeper dive with me, ultimately at the end of the day, over the course of, the last several years, I remember that somebody didn't tell me this, but they insinuated that I wasn't smart enough to be a personal trainer. I didn't know enough about health and fitness. I didn't know enough about anatomy and physiology, and I kind of took that personally. And ultimately, I did not do that great in anatomy and physiology in college, but that's neither here nor there because I've worked on it. And from that moment on, I've made it a real priority to read as much as I can and watch as much as I can and find people who I trust as much as I can in order to make myself a better personal trainer and fitness coach and leader on people's health journeys, right? And ultimately, what I found along the way is that you can have two people, right? You can have one person who's an absolute genius and expert in the fitness field, and another person who's also a genius and an expert in the fitness field. And these two people don't agree with each other, which is an absolutely wild concept. This person's a genius. This person's a genius. They don't think the other person's a genius. So who's the bigger genius? Nobody knows. And ultimately in fitness, there's way too much nuance and way too much gray area for there to be an absolute winner. It's not like math, right? Math is very black and white. From the conception of math, probably till the end of time, unless something changes, 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. It's very black and white. Maybe Common Core math will change that in the future, but until then, it's very black and white. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's too much individuality between people. There's too many circumstances. There's way too many variabilities for somebody to have an absolute best anything that applies to absolutely everybody in the world. Doesn't happen, doesn't exist. So that's why you can have the duality of these two people who are absolute geniuses and they don't agree. They say opposite things, right? And that's what ultimately being a fitness hippie is about. Using the framework, there's frameworks of fitness that we can set up that are something that you've got to kind of weave within your fitness journey, but using the frameworks of that and finding your way between those 2 points, whatever those 2 points are, and that's stuff that we'll get to in the show in future episodes. Using the frameworks and kind of weaving your own journey is ultimately going to be the point of this whole podcast. And hopefully I can convey some of that stuff to you guys along the way. And really the X factor of it all, if I haven't said it enough in the show already, is weaving fitness and happiness, because that's something that I cherish a lot. And that's something that I'm going to be making a priority in the show. So ultimately there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of factors that go into fitness. It's a very divisive space. I've recently started making TikToks and I've kind of gotten addicted to TikTok. I'm a little bit late to the party, but I do like it. I've been posting there every day. So if you don't follow me yet, follow me on TikTok at MTEFit. MTEFit. And I posted a TikTok that kind of went like semi-viral. It's not viral in terms of like I had thousands and thousands of views. I had 4,000 views, which is a lot for me. And I had people calling me ignorant and stupid and saying that the video that I posted was bullshit. And I was like, dude, it's a video about not training when you're sore. How is this a controversial topic? So obviously fitness is a space where you can have very differing thoughts and ideas and ideologies of fitness. So it's crazy, right? So it's all about cutting through the absolutes of fitness and getting to the nuance part of it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's stuff that we'll go through in future, right? For future episodes. But really, at the end of the day, the name of the show has changed, but the essence of the show remains the exact same. That was always the ultimate goal. That was always kind of the trajectory that I was on, right? And the trajectory that I try to convey to you guys. So the name has changed. Things might look a little bit different. Things might sound a little bit different. It's all part of the rebrand, but ultimately the show stays the same. So if you have been here for a long time and not a good time, I'm sorry. Hopefully you come back to me. But 54 episodes later, this will now be called the Fitness Hippie Podcast. I'm not going to, make this Fitness Hippie Podcast number 1 because that's going to be very confusing. So if you go back in time and you start listening to older episodes, yes, it is called the Made to Excel Fitness Podcast, and I'm not going to change that because that's way too much work. And I think ultimately I've got so many other things going on that these new iterations of the Fitness Hippie Podcast will be shorter podcasts, same topics. It's the same thing, right? Just a different name. Hopefully you enjoyed this little bridge episode into the new version of this podcast. So as always, there's going to be a lot of new social medias, and as of this recording, I don't know exactly what they're going to be. So follow me on Instagram at MTEFit. That is where you're going to see all the new announcements. I think I'm going to have a separate Instagram page for this podcast specifically. I'm going to leave Made to Excel Fitness Instagram there for other things that I'm working on. There might be a secondary YouTube channel with clips of the podcast. There's a whole bunch of different moving parts, right? So follow me on Instagram to stay absolutely up to date at MTEFit. And hopefully by the time the next episode comes out, I've had those details all hammered out and I can spit the new social medias at you. And as always, they'll just be in the comments down below. Not in the comments, in the description down below so you can see them. So keep an eye out for that. Things are changing. Things are changing for the better, though. Also, follow me on TikTok at MTEFit. Posting every day there. But that's it. I'm going to let you guys go now. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
you.